You know, the history of mankind would be different if it had been David and Eve. Instead of Adam and Eve, David and Eve. You know, it would be a bit different because sometimes we just need that modeling in our life. We need someone to show us the way. We need someone to come along and say, look, this is how you do it. This is how you admit that you're wrong. And you do that by example, by the way. Now, let me ask you this. Parents, have you or did you ever admit to your children, I was wrong. I'm sorry. You know, I found that as parents, we think we got to play God. And, you know, God never asked for forgiveness. Let me tell you something. You're not God. You need to model that for your children and be big enough to say, hey, I was wrong. You know, self-evaluation is not something you just do one time. Admitting that you're wrong is not something you just do one time. It's a lifetime. It takes a lifetime. This self-evaluation that I'm talking about is a lifetime, and sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it's painful. Sometimes there's confusion involved because this thing that you've just admitted, you don't know the answer to it yet. And so therefore there is confusion because you don't have at the present time the solution, the answer. And so there's some confusion. So I'm saying that self-evaluation is not always pleasant. I just recently took a sabbatical. I took some time off, and you know, the reason I did it was because I needed quiet time. I needed just me and God. I needed self-evaluation. And it's one of the healthiest things you will ever do. It really is. You know, when you believe everything you are now doing is right, when you never evaluate yourself, when you never second guess yourself, when you never think ill of yourself, when you always think the best about everything you do and every decision that you make, you know what? You'll miss the first resurrection. You're going to miss the first resurrection. And I'm sometimes amazed at the things people allow in their relationship with God. Yeah, they call themselves Christian, and I look at the things they are allowing to exist in that relationship with God. And sometimes I just realize that the reason that's true is because that person has no self-evaluation. It is obvious that person is not evaluating himself at all, or else he wouldn't be doing that. You need to be able to admit that you're wrong in a relationship with God, but once you do it, you need to get past being wrong. You see, often when we admit that we're wrong, there's a certain amount of shame connected to it. Because you did the wrong. You're shameful because you did something wrong. Okay, that's obvious. But you see, shame, what I mean by getting past being wrong, you need to accept God's grace, accept God's forgiveness, and move past being wrong. You see, shame causes us to feel certain emotions. And often those emotions are, well, I'm never going to be good enough. And often that attitude that's driven by shame, I'm never going to be good enough, leads us to think, okay, since I'm not going to be good enough, I have permission, I have entitlement to do what is wrong. Oh yeah. Yeah, human nature is a queer thing, I tell you it is. It really is. I mean, we play games constantly with ourselves, with each other, with God. Yeah, that shame can cause you to feel I'm never going to measure up, so I might as well go ahead and be a beautiful loser. I'm entitled to do what is wrong. So I'm saying you got to move past, you know, that just being wrong. The mistake is now out of the way. I have been forgiven. I can now move forward by God's grace. God can now use me in a more powerful way than ever before. A great blessing is coming my way because I have admitted that I'm wrong, and now it's time to move past that.